I woke up at 2 a.m. last night with a thought I've never had before. This idea interrupted my dreams somehow and caused me to lie awake in bed. Before long, I knew I needed to get up and pursue this. So, I went to my computer and started to search online for answers. The question I had was if events unfolding around us have any parallels to the biblical signs for the end times. I know. Every day there is someone who is saying that the sky is falling and the end is nigh. I too have heard the numerous sermons over the years where these signs were expounded upon as to what they could mean. Most of the time, it was vague, didn't seem to connect, and appeared far off in the future. Is it still? We know that all of the Bible's prophecies have come true, except for the end times. Why would God give us so much about the end days? Lots of other bad stuff has happened throughout history without warnings. There is something unique about the end times. The signs are not made to scare us so we then run and hide. The opposite. Seeing the signs should empower us to throw off laziness and set our sights on an effort of more value than self-gratification. God gives us these signs so we might sprint to the finish line when we see them. I turned to Revelation this morning. I confess, it had been a while. What I saw suddenly made more sense than ever before. In fact, I think the last few months have added more new information we couldn't have imagined just a year ago. Do I know the secret and have decoded Revelation? I'm not stating that. I'm just pointing out what came through my dreams and what makes sense in what I just read. If others see it, believe it and agree, then the result should be to spread this message to other Christians and then spread the gospel throughout the world as soon as possible. The key point of my dream interrupting thought was about ChatGPT and artificial intelligence. I have jumped deeply into this and have access to use the power of this new tool for programs I'm creating for missionaries. I pressed the pause button this morning when the connection between AI and the beast took on a whole new meaning for me. I've heard numerous messages and different interpretations about who the beast might be. I've always thought it was someone. What if the first and second beast are actually something? Let's start in Revelation 13 and replace the first beast with the internet and see if it makes sense. Revelations chapter 13. The dragon stood on the shore of the sea. And I saw the internet coming out of the sea. It had 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 crowns on its horns, and on each head a blasphemous name. The internet I saw resembled a leopard, but had feet like those of a bear and a mouth like that of a lion. The dragon gave the internet his power and his throne and great authority. One of the heads of the internet seemed to have had a fatal wound, but the fatal wound had been healed. Side note, did you know that we are just now beginning a solar maximum? Peak will be in 2025. This is the normal cycle of the sun going between less flare activity to more. The last maximum was one of the weakest in history, lowest in 100 years. Some could imagine that the next maximum, the one just starting, will release pent-up solar flares not spewed out in the last. What can these flares do? Well, if a very strong flare pointed exactly at Earth, it could do unimaginable damage. The last major direct hit in the 1800s blew out telegraph lines and even caused fires. If that happened today, not only could computers around the world be fried, but the internet could be seriously damaged, like a fatal wound. Could it be repaired? Probably. Back to chapter 13 and verse 3. One of the heads of the internet seemed to have had a fatal wound, but the fatal wound had been healed. Now let's also throw in another imagery that could go with this. If this solar flare did come at us, satellites are the most vulnerable. They have less of the Earth's magnetic field to protect them. Even with shielding, they are not impervious to flares. Starlink is currently working towards putting 40,000 satellites into orbit. This is in addition to the tens of thousands of other objects already up there. Starlink satellites are in low Earth's orbit and require ongoing boosts to keep pushing them away from Earth. If the computers in them fail, they will deorbit and fall from the sky, burning up on their way down. Of course, there are also many references to what many could easily picture as nuclear war. Fire from the sky. So, jump back to chapter 6, 12 to 13. I watched as he opened the sixth seal. There was a great earthquake. The sun turned black like sackcloth made of goat hair, the whole moon turned blood red. The moon turns red with particulates in the air. And the stars in the sky fell to earth, as figs drop from a fig tree when shaken by a strong wind. Some might see the starlings coming down in numbers like this. Let's back up a little more to the beginning of chapter 6. See if anything sounds like any leaders or any nations today. I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the 7 seals. Then I heard one of the 4 living creatures say in a voice like thunder, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown, and he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest. Rider on a horse. Bow, weapons. Crown, ruler. Conqueror, bent on conquest. When the Lamb opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature say, "Come." Then another horse came out, a fiery red one. Its rider was given power to take peace from the earth and to make people kill each other. To him was given a large sword. When the Lamb opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a black horse. Its rider was holding a pair of scales in his hand. Then I heard what sounded like a voice among the 4 living creatures, saying, 2 pounds of wheat for a day's wages, and 6 pounds of barley for a day's wages, and do not damage the oil and the wine. This verse is often thought of as war and famine leading to inflation. Any of that today? We do believe that soon the lack of wheat from Ukraine is going to cause a much bigger problem. Revelation 13 continued. Again, we place the internet as the first beast. See if that helps make sense of this. The whole world was filled with wonder and followed the internet. People worshiped the dragon because he had given authority to the internet, and they also worshiped the internet and asked, "Who is like the internet? Who can wage war against it?" The internet was given a mouth to utter proud words and blasphemies and to exercise its authority for 42 months. The internet opened its mouth to blaspheme God, and to slander his name and his dwelling place and those who live in heaven. the internet was given power to wage war against God's holy people and to conquer them. And the internet was given authority over every tribe, people, language and nation. All inhabitants of the earth will worship the internet, all whose names have not been written in the Lamb's book of life, the Lamb who was slain from the creation of the world. I then continued to read on about the second beast. For this, my thought went to the new introduction of ChatGPT, or more broadly artificial intelligence. Perhaps you've heard many smart people around the world, like Elon Musk, who are seriously concerned and even scared by AI. Continuing in Revelations 13, the second beast. For this, I've replaced the second beast with AI, artificial intelligence, now being birthed. I will still put the internet as the first beast. Verse 11. Then I saw AI, coming out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, but it spoke like a dragon. AI exercised all the authority of the internet on its behalf, and made the earth and its inhabitants worship the internet, whose fatal wound had been healed. And AI performed great signs, even causing fire to come down from heaven to the earth in full view of the people. This is what Musk fears could actually happen as we give it more power and control and abilities to run things for us. Verse 14. Because of the signs AI was given power to perform on behalf of the internet, it deceived the inhabitants of the earth. AI ordered them to set up an image in honor of the internet, who was wounded by the sword and yet lived. AI was given power to give breath. Breath, that is life, to the image of the internet, so that the image could speak and cause all who refused to worship the image to be killed. AI also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of AI, the number of its name. Number is name? Name is number? Computer? Bitcoin, non-physical currency controlled by? Verse 18. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 666. The number of a man. Feel free to disagree, add insight, or pass along. I'm not the final authority, nor do I have all wisdom. Please add to this as you feel God leading you.